We start with breaking news, an FA-18 crash off the coast of Virginia Beach. This video just in, a pilot taken off a Navy helicopter and rushed into Sentara Norfolk General Hospital.
We are still trying to find out the pilot's condition, but we know he was conscious. Here is where the jet crashed now, about 45 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach. It happened around 2:30. The pilot was conducting a training mission when something went wrong and he ejected. You see the water temperature there was in the 40s. He was recovered by a fishing boat, then flown to the hospital. This comes exactly 1 week after a Navy helicopter crashed about 20 miles from today's scene. We have live team coverage of this breaking news.
And we'll start you off with 10 on your side's Lauren Compton live in Sentara Norfolk General Hospital.
And Lauren, we talked to you about 45 minutes ago. What have you learned since then?
Well, Nicole, we have learned that the pilot was brought here to Sentara Norfolk General Hospital, and we have some video of when he was brought in. That happened shortly after 3:30 this afternoon. When the pilot was brought out of the Navy helicopter, he was lying on the stretcher, covered with a blanket. The rescue crews that brought him in were talking to him, trying to keep him alert as they rushed him inside to Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. And also, we do know there were some things that played into the pilot's favor in this whole situation. We're told the pilot was able to eject himself from the F-18 before it went down off the Virginia Beach coast, and he was rescued by a Good Samaritan fishing vessel brought him in, and at that time we're told the pilot was conscious. So that is definitely good news for this pilot that went down in the F-18. He was conscious when they brought him up. He is now receiving treatment at Sentara Norfolk General Hospital. We are not aware at the extent of his injuries, but we do know when he was rescued, he was conscious. We will continue to bring you updates on what we saw here and what we learned here at Sentara Norfolk General Hospital during our 90 minutes of news. Reporting live in Norfolk, Lauren Compton, 10 on your side.
All of us hoping for the best. This is the second Navy mishap locally in 1 week.
Rescue efforts at sea can be very tricky, as we found out last Wednesday. At least in this case, the pilot ejected. 10 on your side's Ann McNamara has more now from the newsroom. Ann?
Great to see that pilot conscious and at least on the way to the hospital. A lot of alert issues are going on in this particular part of the rescue. Now, we spoke extensively with rescue efforts and rescuers during the Mayfair Muse incident on Good Friday in 2012. Now, if you take a look at some of the video we have for you, there was actually an ejection seat in that case that was stuck in some trees. This is a picture of it, but if you had been near the scene that day, two of the pilots ejected. One of them actually was caught in the trees. There's a parachute that deploys along with the ejection seat, so it's not as hard of a landing. Of course, you have to eject in time to make all of this work properly. What we know in this case is that a pilot was in the water and was still conscious. We can only assume that the parachute did work properly in this case, but we do not have those specific details out yet. Also of very great interest, it's hard to see in the hospital video, but typically, depending on the air temperature and also the water temperature, pilots will wear dry suits. The dry suit is like it sounds it is. It doesn't allow water into it. It also has a sort of a thermal or a lining inside of it to work against conditions, particularly if you end up in the water, you'll stay warmer for longer. These are the types of things that are in place in Navy helicopters, that are in protocol to try to make the best of bad situations like this, accidents like this. And again, we are working to gather more about specifically what happened in this accident and how rescue efforts were underway. But we do know a fishing vessel happens to be in the area, picks the pilot up out of the water, and as you just saw, on the way to the hospital, guys.
All right, Ann. Thank you.
And McNamara reporting from our newsroom. And now we have to bring in our military reporter, 10 on your sides. Art Kahn has been with us for many years.
That's right. He has expertise in these jets, the training that goes on, and unfortunately, the crashes that have happened around here. He's on the phone with us now. And Art, you've actually seen a lot of these jets and been on them.
Well, yeah, I have flown in a couple of them, but first I want to tell you about some of the latest news that I've been able to get, working some of my contacts here with the local fishing community here in Virginia Beach, as well as some of the first responders, with dealing with the circumstances of how this rescue was able to take place. As you have reported, it was a commercial fishing vessel that was the first one to pull this pilot from the water. What I have learned is that a second FA-18 was working with this jet on the training exercise. And as is standard procedure, when that jet went down, the second jet remained on scene to help direct rescuers, in this case the commercial fishing vessel, to the downed pilot. So that worked in their favor. Another thing that was working in everyone's favor in this, and again, we still don't know the condition of the pilot other than that he is conscious, but the Navy had 3 assets in the vicinity as well. You had the USS Roosevelt, the USS Oak Hill, and the USS Oscar Austin. Now, the thing about this is all 3 of those surface vessels have air assets, the Roosevelt being a carrier having fixed-wing and rotary aircraft assets, the Oak Hill and the Oscar Austin both capable of launching and recovering helicopters, primarily the Greyhawk, which is a search and rescue helicopter. So you had everything in place that really helped expedite the rescue of this pilot.
All right, yeah, that definitely having that second aircraft, I can see where that would be really important as far as guiding a vessel, like a fishing vessel,
right,
to go to the right area at the right time.
All right,
and that's exactly what he did, Tom. In fact, I've been told by an unnamed source who was able to monitor some of the radio communications that that's exactly what was happening out there.
Yeah, and with that water temperature being as it is, time is of the essence.
Definitely.
It very much is, because even though they wear protective clothing, they wear a dry suit, as I mentioned when we had the MH-53 people in the water.
Mm-hmm.
All that does, it's a thin suit, it's not closed at the hands and feet, and basically it doesn't cover the hands and feet, so all it does is buy you a little bit of extra time. It's not like a survival suit. You don't have that long to hang around in that kind of water.
Art Kahn, thank you so much for sharing your expertise for us there today.